ANX Quickcast, a 10-minute recap of the latest gaming updates, anime news, and TV series. I'm Unbiased Ann, and I'm here with Genesis.
What up?
On today's episode, we're reviewing Star Trek Discovery Season 5, Episode 1, Red Directive. All right, before we get started, Genesis, you got any news?
Quick news update. This is one of our newer shows to be released. I appreciate everybody who stuck with us while we got some of the unreleased old stuff out of the way since we've been on hiatus for a little bit. So all that old stuff, Aquaman 2, Loki, Madam Web, all that stuff is out. So go check that out. We have hit our 2,000 subscriber goal.
Woo-woo.
So there will be some giveaways coming soon, and we will be at Anime Fest at the end of the month. So if you're in the DFW area, come see us. Before we get started, got a quick PSA though. Since we're talking about Discovery specifically, if you are here, right, and you don't like the show because it has a minority woman captain, you don't like the show because it has a overweight character, you don't like the show because it has gay characters, you don't like the show because there's a non-binary character, you can go ahead and just check yourself out right now, because all that nonsense, we don't play that nonsense here. So if you don't like the show just because of those reasons, you can see yourself out. Not playing around with that kind of stuff. What I will say is, like, y'all won. The haters won. Yeah. The show got canceled, right? It's gonna have a proper send off, but you all won. So there's no reason to continue to pile on, right? Star Trek is one of my favorite series, and how can I say this? I have no problem with anybody and what they do. I don't really care, right? Is it an adjustment to see two dudes kissing on TV? Sure. But I'm not going to just bash and hate one of my favorite TV series because of it, especially because I know everything it has stood for in the past. So if you're down with the hating because of that, see yourself out. Well,
and just to clarify, even if it wasn't Star Trek we were talking about, you wouldn't do that anyway.
Right, regardless. Yeah. The same thing when we talked about Eternals. But the next thing is, if anything, y'all should be thanking Discovery. Because if you like Picard, if you like Strange New Worlds is a direct spinoff of Discovery. If you're looking forward to the new movie, Section 31. Yes. Right. All of that is because of Discovery. So you need to actually thank them for what they did and everything they accomplished, right? Because it's giving you more of what you claim you like, right? Yeah. Oh, and a possible, I don't know anything, but a possible, TOS remake. They got all the elements there to redo the original series. Yeah. So anyway, let's get going. What is this episode about?
So we're starting off, as we've mentioned, this is the first episode of season 5. Burnham, right off the bat, is given instructions, but from Dr. Kovich. It's a red directive. Go find. There is an 800-year-old ship out there that there's something on that ship we need you to get. I can't tell you anything, but go find it.
So I'm doing this off the top of my head. 800 years ago, so that's 200 years after where Discovery originally was taking place, and I'm assuming that puts them in the TNG timeline. I'm assuming. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't looked it up.
I could look it up. I have that listed. It would take me a second, but I could look it up.
Yeah.
But you're probably right.
Yeah. So anyway, go ahead.
So, without getting into everything, just on a recap, basically, once they find the ship, they realize there's other people that are looking for the same thing they are, which turns the episode into Captain Burnham and team trying to get this artifact.
So how we're going to start doing these quick casts going forward is we're probably going to just try to limit it to 3 things that we liked and 3 things that we didn't like about the episode. So I will go ahead and go first. Okay. It was a slow beginning to the episode, and it felt like the end, like they were at like a party, a get together or something. But everything they showed, even the recap of last season, was about people leaving. They talked about Tilly getting a new job, right? She's technically not a part of the group anymore. They started talking about Saru and his relationship and that he was off, he was offered a job, so he might be leaving. They talked about shutting down the Spore Drive program, right? So it was just like you started off by just kind of talking about the ending of their crew.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of weird. I guess it might be appropriate for the fact that we already know this is the last season, but it just kicked it off to like a slow start.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I didn't think about that until you just said it, but I did think it was weird that they were talking about them moving, and then we start off and they're there like normal.
Yeah,
but I don't know if that had to do with the fact that this turned out to be the last season. Maybe that's not what they were thinking. Well,
I think they knew before they went into it, so
okay.
It's not. I don't think they had to change anything specific, right? I think each season was being greenlit as we go along. Strange New Worlds, on the other hand, I think it got greenlit a couple of seasons prior, and then I think Picard was also always supposed to be 3 seasons.
Yeah.
What about you? What you got? Something that you want? We'll go back and forth.
Okay. One thing I like.
Dislike.
I'm gonna be honest. I loved this episode. I really there was nothing in this episode that I was just like, nah, I don't like how they did that.
Okay.
I don't like that. I've been racking my brain. I cannot think of anything. But I'm sure once you say something, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah.
Don't be trying to steal my notes. Don't try to do it. Okay, let me see if I can. Booker's and Michael's relationship.
You don't like it?
It's getting old.
Okay.
It's getting old. I mean, the back and forth, I think everything. I think that the happy-ish reunion that they had is just kind of weird. You ended last season with him going away, basically being arrested for everything he did last season, right? Which is generally speaking against everything that she would be about. And then they bring him back in the very first episode, 20 minutes in. Like I feel like they brought him back way too soon, and they just got back to old normal times.
Yeah.
And I was just, okay, I'm getting tired of this. I'm just getting tired of him. He started off as kind of the bad guy. They didn't really get along, and then they got along, and then they hooked up, and then they broke up, and then they got back together, and then he did that, and then now I'm just over it. I don't care anymore. I
will say one little thing. So it wasn't something that I disliked, but I did think it was kind of weird that you basically got arrested for going against the Federation, and now you're already here to help. Like nobody cares.
Well, it's against his. I mean, he's doing that as part of his sentence, I guess. Like he's there because they're making him go there.
Oh, okay, I missed that. I was kind of confused.
And that's what he said. He said, I go where they tell me to go, and they told me to come here, so here I am.
Oh, okay. I guess I totally missed that. I thought maybe they just out of desperation they were like, fine, help us, which maybe that is still what kind of happened.
Yeah. Since you don't have a whole lot of dislikes, let me throw this one out there. I don't like all the secret, shady, Red Directive stuff. The closest thing that I can remember to something like a Red Directive is the Omega Directive in Voyager.
Okay.
So there was, there's this Omega molecule that people can create, and it's like infinite power, but similar to like, let's just say an atomic bomb, but in space. If it goes bad, it destroys everything for light years.
Yeah.
And it causes a situation where there will be no warp travel through that. You destroy space, essentially. You can travel through it, but you can't go warp. So you have to go around it, right? I don't like that they kept it so secret, because even with the Omega Directive, the captain knew what was going on.
Right. In this one, the Admiral didn't even know what was going on.
Right. Nobody knows what's going on. Like, I didn't like that. That's lazy writing to me.
Okay.
To a certain degree. The Omega Directive, at least the captain knew and the crew didn't. So you had that element, as opposed to no one knows what's going on.
Right.
Right. So I just didn't like that. And it just seems like Dr. Kovich, and I could be getting my stuff out of whack because of so many years in between watching seasons. And I feel like that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother episode that we probably need to do.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to sometimes remember specifics on something that I haven't seen in a year or more.
Yeah.
Right.
For sure.
Because that's how these shows are going. Right. But he's a little bit too uptight about like classified Starfleet records, considering that Starfleet didn't even exist like a year or two ago.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So it's like, you won't tell the specific person who single-handedly was responsible for bringing the Federation back together, and you won't tell her, even though she is the reason why it was destroyed. So I get it, but you seem a little too uptight about this, bro.
Bruh.
Like, and unfortunately, I've seen a spoiler.
Oh, yeah.
So I think I know why, but I'll just let it play out. So if anybody has seen, so at this point in time, we have not seen the whole series yet, but I have seen a spoiler. So anyway, what about something you liked?
So it's funny that you brought that up. So one thing I really like, and I have liked him from the moment he showed up, is Dr. Kovich. There's just something about him that I just really like. I
like him as an actor. I'm not sure I like his character.
I like his character, like or how he acts.
Because he's kind of rude and he's secretive.
Yeah, but there's just something about him. I'm just like, I love
you
when
just like his glasses.
I do.
I know you.
Glasses. But I like how he talks and he goes like this kind of a little bit. Just this like tiny little, and he's just very serious. Like, I don't know. I can't do it, but.
Go ahead.
Well, no, I just that nothing specific. I just liked that he was in this episode so much.
I think one thing that needs to be pointed out is that this first episode, I said it started off slow. And it moved along okay. I mean, there was an introduction of 3 main new characters, like 2 bad guys and one kind of anti-hero kind of dude on the Federation side, and all the talk about the ancient artifact and what it is and what it isn't and who knows about it and who doesn't know about it. So it was a lot of that packed in to the one episode. The thing that I like the most about this and Star Trek Discovery in general, and I know we're going over, but I had to say that stuff in the beginning, is the tech. Like what I tell people all the time about Discovery is they like, what do you like? Which one of the new ones do you like? I say Discovery. I said, if you would have asked me 20 plus years ago, what would a Star Trek look like in 2024?
This is it.
This is it.
Yeah.
I mean, to the Infinity Room, which is like, it was cool, but it wasn't, because you had to have a item. You had to have this like infinity item, and it kind of transports you to some other location where you can have kind of private meetings. Yeah. But you had to have the item. So the concept is cool. I'm sure we're going to see more about it, in the future. When Michael turned her phaser into a rifle.
Oh yeah.
That shit was dope. The fact that they had a whole breach and she got sucked out of the ship, right? The away mission suit that she had on, like, transformed automatically into an environmental suit.
Are you going through all your favorites right now?
It's tech.
Oh, I see.
Like, these are the things that happen. So it's just like, and it just makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Right. Like in the old Star Trek, even the late 90s, early 2000s stuff, if you had to need an environmental suit, you had to go put it on. Like, but so it makes sense. The replicator. I don't know if you noticed. Tilly ordered a coffee, it wasn't limited to this small space in the wall. Like, give me a coffee, and it appeared right there on her nightstand.
That was so cool.
It's so dope. Like, and it makes so much sense. The holographic screens, which we've seen before, and the double tap on the comm badge to do like a site-to-site transport.
Yeah.
Like, that was dope. Like, you didn't have to ask somebody to do it. Double tap and you transport it. And I think in some of the earlier episodes in Discovery, they talked about the badge.
They did.
And what else it can do and what was new about it. But again, foggy, because that was 5 years ago.
Didn't they talk about it on Enterprise?
Or
no?
No. They probably made reference to what it would be cool if it could do. Okay. Because theirs really couldn't do anything. Theirs didn't do anything at the time. Right. So they kind of tease like, oh, it'd be cool if we could talk to each other by, stuff like that. Yeah. What else you got? Something else you like?
Okay, so I liked Fred. Okay. And so what's funny is, real quick, when I saw Fred, I was like, he's giving Major Data vibes. Yeah. And I love Data. So I was like, I like this guy. And then so it was funny later in the episode when he said he's coded or whatever with Asun's initials or whatever. And I was like, how funny is that?
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's crazy that it's still around. I mean, they kind of made mention of that too. One thing that I did like, considering that one of my dislikes is Michael and Booker's relationship, right?
Mhm.
One of the things I did like was the new captain they introduced, Captain Rayner, and his interactions with them, because it was very much like, do y'all need a minute? Because we got stuff to do.
Right.
Can we go? Like, and that's kind of like how I feel watching all of this stuff play out.
Mm-hmm.
There's bad guys over here. Can we go? Like, what are y'all doing?
Right. We don't have time for this little conversation y'all need to have for the 15th time.
And I think generally speaking, he's not supposed to be a likable character.
Yeah.
But I think generally speaking, he probably represents something closer to an average Starfleet captain.
Mm-hmm.
The people that we see and we follow around, I don't think are average Starfleet captains.
Yeah.
The people we see, how can I put this? Try to use big words, try to use nice, clear, big words. The people we see have higher morals, and they will break Federation rules to save people.
Yeah.
Right? And then deal with everything else later. People like Rayner, it's like, no, we got to do what we got to do. F these people.
Yeah.
Right? I got a mission. This is what I was told to do. I'm going to go do it. It was more militant.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Which they are specific, essentially a military, even though they like to act like we're a science vessel, or we're just
no, they're very
peaceful discovery.
Yeah.
And research and blah, blah, blah. It's like, all right, with them damn torpedoes on every ship.
Well, you got captain, commander, admiral, and y'all act like military either way.
It's very militant. So he's not supposed to be likable. He's more of the anti-hero, right? But I like him because he's getting to the point. I don't agree with all his decisions, but he's at least getting to it, right?
Yep.
Real quick, I know you got one more, but I'll just say the cinematography was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy dope. Like this felt like a movie.
Yeah.
Like for real. And then of course the TNG reference where they show Picard. That was dope. So
basically the two things you just said were the two things I had on my list.
Yeah.
The whole scene with Michael on top of the ship. Well, I don't know if that's what you're talking about with cinematography.
No,
but
it was really when her and Booker, where they were dressed up and they were like walking through that little town.
Oh, okay.
Trying to get to Fred.
Yeah.
And the way the camera was moving, that's the one that really stood out to me.
Well, I don't know what mind counts is, but that whole scene though, where she's on top of the ship trying to get in or trying to whatever. And then which leads to something you mentioned earlier where she eventually, well, I guess she fell out first, but there was just so much happening where it's like you fall out, you go into your environmental, you're now on top of this ship. It's crazy cool how we're seeing it. Then you fly off and just come back into the front window of your ship.
Well, they teleported her back in, but it was close. She almost hit the ship.
Oh, okay. I was like, what is going on? Because it looked like she just went through the window.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to explain it, but that makes more sense.
Yeah.
And then so that and then
and they're doing that a lot. If anybody out there hasn't seen Discovery, they're doing a lot more of the space. It seems like every season or somewhere in there, she's floating around in space doing something. Right. Yep. Outside the ship, doing something, floating around in space. So that's a common theme with Discovery.
And then my last thing was the TNG reference. I was like, oh my God.
Oh, grainy.
Yeah, I know.
360p enhanced to high def.
Yep.
Captain Picard. So yeah, that was dope to see. 18 minutes in, 19 minutes in. Sorry, but I knew it was gonna happen because we hadn't talked about Star Trek, and this is the first episode, and there was a lot going on in it. We will try to do better with episode 2.
That's it for today, guys. Thanks for listening to ANX Quickcast. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when we release new episodes. See you next week.
Y'all click these videos.